Hello guys, so in this episode we are going to create a custom control for this button here. This will be one button and a tinted image for tinting the images in the application. So let's start by from where we left off last time. Let's copy and paste the episode 5 and make it episode 6. Okay. So first off, I want to tint the image. So in our views main page, I want this, where is it? Done all image. I want it to be in the primary color, not this black one. So let's Google Xamarin Tint Image. And if you take a look at some results, you see some solutions using routing effect, but for some reason, if it's inside the list view or collection view, this solution might not work for you. But so therefore I will combine this solution here, which applies the tint to the image, with the custom you'll see custom renderer for the image. So let's go custom renderer, Xamarin Forms. So customizing an entry is a good example here. So this is sample code for iOS or Android. So let's start by creating new folder. Let's call it controls, and let's add a new class called tinted image. Okay. And let's inherit the image class from Xamarin Forms, but make it public, of course. But let's make it have a color property, TintColor, and let's have it get set. And that's it, what we want for now. So let's also see how to create this custom renderer on Android. This is a custom renderer for entry, and we want the similar for our image. So we will create a new folder in the Android project. We'll call it renderers, and let's add a new class, and let's call it tinted image renderer, and let's see how this needs to be done. So we need this here on the namespace. So we need to export the renderer for our entry, and with my entry renderer, this will inherit image renderer. Let's find it. It's in Xamarin Forms Platforms Android. My entry is actually tinted image. from our controls. Export renderer is from Xamarin Forms. And tinted image renderer, let's make it public, is our tinted image renderer. Okay. And it's saying the constructor is obsolete. So let's see. Here we have a sample of how we should implement our constructor. And this is Android content context in most of the cases. Okay. What else does it say? So on element changed. Okay, so this method on element changed happens whenever the tinted image is changed for this native view. And we can use this. Okay, no suitable method found to override. Let me see what's going on here. Let me check. 1 second. Override on element changed. Okay, what was the... Oh yeah, we copy pasted the entry one. Instead of copy pasting, you just wanna override one element changed and do our custom stuff now. So we don't need this tutorial anymore. So we just need this filtering logic, which we'll take from them. And we don't need anything else apart from this. Okay, so this is what we will need. So how do we apply this tint color now? So we first check if e.newElement, this is when the element is created, the new element, or when the element is changed, is not null, but is our tinted image. And when the control is image view or image view native image. So I know this beforehand. So I know that the native Android control is actually called image view, and it is bound to the image renderer. So let's check this code out. What do? They apply this filter to the native image. Our native image is this. As you can see, it has already that set color filter method. And instead of the effect tint color, we just want tinted image dot tint color to Android, and we probably just need to use Android.graphics for this ported off color filter, which will tint the image. Tinting means basically all the pixels in the image that are not transparent will be colorized in your tinted to your specific color. And using this, I think we've made some first version of the tinted image. This is not the final version. There is some change we will need to do, but for now this will do. So we will try to replace this done all button. Here, this black color, we will try to replace it with the blue one. So by using tinted image, including controls, let's format it. Okay, and where was it? Here. Okay. And now we have a property named TintColor, and let's say the TintColor is static resource primary. Let's try this out. I think our episode goal with custom renderer should be done here. If this works, fine. And then we'll do this button. We'll create a custom control for this here. Okay. It's starting the build from the scratch, so takes some time because we clean up the project between the episodes. Should be any second now. Okay, our splash screen is here. And let's see. And as you can see, the tint color is now blue. We could try changing it here to red. And it doesn't work. And it could be the hot reload doesn't support it, but if we change it to red, it will work if we rerun the application. But we are missing something to actually make it work in a way that you can actually change it. And I will show that later. But now let's keep it to primary and let's continue. So now let's create this sort button. So these two arrows, instead of being here, let's make a custom control, an actual custom control, in which we will create this kind of control. Let me show you on the done application. See how when you press the image, it changes which one is active, and it sorts the list. Sorting is another episode thing, but for now we'll just build this custom control here. Okay, so let's start with that. So how should we do this? So let's add a new item. It's content view. Let's call it sort button. Okay. And let's for now format it a bit and copy and paste these two images, the arrows, and use sort button here instead. And let's paste them here. Let's put them in a grid so they can overlap each other. And let's say this grid by default has vertical options center and expand, and horizontal options center and expand as well. It will center inside this content view that we put somewhere where we want it. Okay, so Usually, so there's two ways you can work with a custom control. You can have bindings here, or you can do a lot of work in the code behind. For this tutorial, I will be using the code behind method because I feel like it feels like you'll see why. Our binding, we already know how binding works for pages and everything, so let's try to implement this with the code behind. Oh yeah, and here this is in grid dot column 1. Okay. Okay, so first off, in the code behind of this button, let's create some properties we want. So we want the size, right, of these images, and we want some boolean for whether it's sorting ascending or descending. And let's Google that. So Xamarin bindable property, and this is here you can see how you can create your own bindable properties. So this is the static part you need, and this is the accessors and all that stuff. And I've created for myself a code snippet for creating a bindable property. So by pressing bprop, I can create my own bindable property in this way. Easy. So let's name it size property of type um, double. Control type is sort button, and default value let's have it 30 something. Okay. And now let's create another bprop, and this is sort. It will be boolean. Control is sort button, and the default value is, let's say, true, or true. Let's say true. Okay. And now we can set these properties on our control on the main page. If you take a look at the sort button, you can assign size to it, and you can assign sort, and you can bind both these properties to something. Let's say sort is true, size is 30. Okay. And now how do we change the sort button based on the changes on these properties? So first let's make these two images available to be worked on in the code behind by naming them with X name. Let's call first one arrow down, and the second one X name arrow up. Okay. And now I will show you how you can override on property changed for any content view. And now you can switch on the property name. And now we can make cases. And for example, case name of size. So what do we do when the size changes? Well, we want to take these two controls, arrow up and arrow down. So for example, arrow down, and let's say we want to assign them width request and height request to size. So arrow down, height request is size, and arrow up the same. Arrow up, arrow up. And we want some margin on the second one. So let's say arrow up dot margin equals new thickness, and we add some margin, let's say 75%, 0.75 times the size. That should barely overlap them to look the same as in the completed application as we want it here. Okay. What is the other property um, we want to act on? It's the sort property. And what do we do when the sort property changes? We need to change colors of these. So these should be tinted image instead of the regular image. Okay. So arrow up dot, let's say TintColor is equal to based on the sort. If it's sort, then let's say up dot get color primary, and let's add another color here for, let's call it sort of color, and let's say it's gray. And in the other case, up dot get color sort of, and let's do the same for arrow down, but with the opposite values. So like this should be fine. Okay, but let's test this out now. Actually, one more thing. When we click the control, when we saw grid.gesture recognizers, we add a tab gesture recognizer, and on tapped or tapped, let's name it on control tapped. We do what? We say that sort equals opposite of sort. So we change the sort every time we click it, tap it. Okay. And let's now test this out. Size is 30, sort is true. Let's see how this works. Okay, it's not showing us anything at all. Let's make some breakpoints and see what's actually happening. Okay, so the control is obviously there, but when we set this tint color, nothing's happening. So what could be the issue? Well, we have this bindable property, but we never actually act on changes to it. So we need to make it a bindable property, and we need to, in the renderer, not only act on the onElement change, but also on element property changed, and say if e.propertyName equals tinted image dot tint. You'll see anyways. So let's make a bindable property for TintColor. Let's use my snippet. TintColor. Type is color. And control type is tinted image. And default is color dot accent, let's say. Okay. And now when we go into renderer, if e.propertyName equals tinted image dot tint color property dot property name, and then and sender is tinted image and control is image view native image. Then we do the same as we did here. So we could make another method, private void apply color filter, something like this, and say native image or image view, and let's call it control actually, and this one let's call it tinted image element. So like this, and let's apply color filter here, native image and tinted image, and here as well. Okay, let's see now what happens. Okay, now let's remove the breakpoints for now. Okay, so you can see the sort is working. As you can see when we press on it, the sort is working well. But why does the size doesn't work well? And then if we restart the application, you will also see one more thing here. They are overlapping and the colors are completely off. So what's happening is we have these default values and we have these values that we set here, and they are the same, and this method only fires when the property is changed. So instead of so we need to somehow handle the initial state better. So for example, if the initial size is 30, then we also wanna put the width request and height request of the control to 30. Same here. And the margin, what's the 30 times 0.75, that's 22.5. And we want to set the initial tint colors based on the true value. When the sort is true, it's primary for arrow up and sort of for the arrow down. So let's beautify this just a bit so it's easier to work with. So let's say this one, TintColor, is static resource. What did we say for arrow down? It's sort of, and for the arrow up, it's the primary. Okay, and now let's see. So what we did here, we set up with the initial values, we set up the initial XAML as well, how it should look like. And now this is looking proper. As you can see, when you click the control, it changes the color. Maybe I can enlarge this screen so it's easier to see. As you can see, the sort changes, and let's try to change the value here. I don't think it will work with hot reload, but we could try restarting the application. And let's set the sort of true actually. Oh, never mind. I want to see the change on the property. Okay, as you can see, the blue arrow is down and it's now the bigger control when we set it to 40. Okay, so let's see. Let's make a breakpoint here. Okay, so our value of the sort is currently true, meaning the second arrow needs to be blue when this value is true. Okay, so if we set it to true here, which is a default value, it should be the second one. Okay, and it is. And if we set it to false and we restart the application, it should be the left one. And let's see if that will work. Yes. Okay, so that's it basically for this tutorial. In the last episode, maybe last episode, or in the next episode, I think we will go over the search and sort, and that will be the final part of this series. So thank you for watching and see you in the next episode.